There were accomplishments of the civil rights movement. It changed African Americans' sense of what is possible. It empowered a generation. What the civil rights movement also did was show that ordinary people can change the world, that they can change their society and their community, that they can have a positive impact. It also shows that these laws have to be enforced, that when the laws are enforced, it works and change can happen. But the minute you take away the enforcement process, the people in power will fall back to the traditions and habits that were there before. What it shows as well is that laws can't change people's attitudes, that those attitudes continue to thrive in this country, and they've probably grown as resentment has grown. The backlash is always worse than what had happened before it. I think what the movement also has demonstrated, particularly the years after the mass movement, is show how racism is deeply entrenched in the foundations of this society. And that for real change to happen, you need to have real changes in that society and in the foundation of the society. And I don't know if this society is prepared to do that. The election of a black president, while it's wonderful and not something I ever thought I would see anytime soon, hasn't changed anything. It hasn't changed how local people on the ground are treated. It hasn't changed the balance of power anywhere. Too much has been expected of him to kind of carry the torch for the civil rights movement, instead of this understanding that politics is also local and that it has to happen at that level too, and everyone has to take responsibility for how they live their life and how they educate other people and each other at their local level. What the civil rights movement has also done is elevated a black middle class. It's increased it and elevated it. So there are certain segments of the black population that has access to the American dream, whatever that is. And if that was the goal of the movement, to increase that access, then that has been successful. But what you also still see is how a huge segment of the population continues to be left behind and have probably fallen back even further. Is there a desire to change it? You know, there has to be a desire to change it. In the 1950s and 60s, that Emmett Till generation in particular had the desire to change it. That idealism that came out of World War II and the 1950s propelled young people to do things that even now they can't believe that they did. What are people willing to do and put their life on the line for? So I think there's a huge challenge ahead. And I don't have any answers to how that's going to happen, but I do think educating young people about history, about what happened and what was possible in the 50s and 60s will help them think about what is possible now and what are the issues now.